Welcome to Miss Winn Checkin In, the space where creativity meets healing. Here, we explore the path of mindful expression through the lens of writing, wellness, and soulful storytelling. Take a moment to pause and ask yourself, how are you feeling right now? If you're watching this on YouTube, drop an emoji in the comments to represent how you're feeling. And then let's check in at the end. Let's take a deep breath, tune in, and prepare to create from within. All right, welcome back to Miss Winn Checkin In. My name is Miss Winn, and this is my podcast. Today, I am back with another great episode. I will be talking with your favorite life coach, Miss Kendéll Lenice, affectionately known as the Remix Coach. She is a certified life coach, transformational speaker, author, media host, podcaster, and writer with over 20 years of experience and coaching. What she does? Well, she empowers individuals and groups to rediscover themselves through self awareness, self love, and healing. Her signature mantra is it's never too late to remix your life. This underscores her belief that transformation is possible at any stage. Of course, she is a sought after speaker. She shares her candid life journey to inspire her audience, helping them heal and create healthier relationships through fresh perspectives and actionable strategies. Her expertise in remixing relationships has transformed countless lives. Kendéll Lenice has interviewed some of the biggest names in Hollywood, politics, and business, contributing to platforms like TV One, OWN, and Fox Soul. She is known for her compassionate and authentic approach. She brings joy, professionalism, and hope to every space she enters. We are in for a treat. Holding multiple certifications and degrees, including one in human services, Kendéll blends education, faith, and life experience to serve others. A proud colon cancer survivor, she openly shares her journey of resilience and faith, spreading hope and inspiration wherever she goes. Welcome her to the podcast, y'all. Kendéll Lenice. What's up?
Oh, who that is?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so glad for you to have me here. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so happy to see your beautiful face. You know how I feel about you.
Thank
So I
you.
appreciate this and taking the time to talk about something that's serious, mental health. You know,
Yeah.
I'm up for that conversation every time.
Yeah, and if you've been following Miss Winn on any of my platforms, this face is not unfamiliar to you. We have worked on several projects, books, podcasts, panel discussions, and so of course, I had to have her, and so I'm so grateful for your time. And so, let's get right into it. You know what I'm saying? So, my first
Oh,
question for you, especially because you're such a creative, is, how has your creative practice influenced your emotional stability?
that's such a good question as a woman and as a life coach, because I always tell people about my clients about art therapy or doing something that you love or find your creative spark because that will help your mental health. And it's helped mine. During the pandemic, I pulled out my canvas, my smock.
Mm,
I was painting everything, right? It was just so soothing for my mental stability and my emotional health. So I think creativity and finding that place in a creative space truly helps your emotional state. It helps you become centered. It helps your clarity. It soothes your soul, especially if you're a creative person. So all the creative people out there totally understand what I'm speaking about. It just takes you to another place, another dimension, almost to the point where you forget what's going on up here because your
mm,
heart space is so satisfied. And
mm,
that's truly, what it does for your mental health. I think it's crucial to your mental health if you have a creativity that is budding, that is matured, whatever it is, or if you don't even know you're creative, what do you do naturally? What do you do that soothes your soul? So I think it's everything.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. What I want to ask though is what, because I want to kind of do a compare and contrast, right? What
Mhm.
does emotional instability look like? And then what it compared to what does emotional stability look like? What would be your definition of both of those?
That's a good question. So, emotional instability is when you can't get in control of your emotions, when your emotional intelligence is all over the place. You can't make sense of your emotions. You can't get it together if you keep crying every time you do something, or you feel sad, or that emotional 1 minute you're happy, 1 minute you're sad. And it doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. It's just when something is happening, sometimes it's hard to get control of your feelings and your emotions. So having that stability, that's instability, but having that stability is saying, okay, and you have that conversation with yourself and you really try to get a hold of your emotions. Like to say, okay, I'll give myself 3 minutes to cry it out. I'll give myself 5 minutes or even 24 hours to get myself together to gain it, whether it's going into the word or praying or calling a funny friend or writing in your journal, doing something that can
Mhm.
take you back to a strong emotional state, because we all have both. Think about when somebody passes away and your emotional state, you can't even work, you can't even
Yeah.
eat, you can't even get yourself together. So we all have those things. And then when your emotional stability is strong, you're like, okay, I'm not going to cry over this, even though
Mhm.
crying is healthy, but I can't be crying in the boardroom. I can't be crying in a meeting. So let me pull myself together. Let me think of a happy time. Let me think of something that helps me grasp what's happening. So it's not about emotional stability is not about ignoring your emotional state. It's learning
Mm.
how to pull it in and still do what you need to do. And even if you say, you know what, this 24 hours, I just can't. I'm going to be a mess.
Mhm.
That's fine. Allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling, but then give yourself a time limit and really try. Now, you might say 24 hours and you get up and you're still feeling the same. Still
Mhm.
give yourself those moments to do that. And then at some point, you have to rein it in and pull it all together in order to live a healthy life. So it's
Yeah.
not unhealthy. It's not an unhealthy life to be emotionally unstable. But sometimes, but how far does your instability go? Like, are
Mhm.
you really, off the rail? What's happening? So it's really about understanding yourself and understanding how your emotions work. And each person is totally different.
Yeah, no, that's important what you said right there, and I'm glad you circled back to that because I think sometimes when we're talking about emotional instability, people think that is wrong. They
Mm-hmm.
get defensive, especially if they're in the middle of some kind of emotional episode and if you're someone there that's witnessing it and if you're just trying to calm them down, it could make that person feel defensive and it's like, no, you're not wrong, but like you said, how far do you want to go with this? And in one of the episodes I was talking about just healing, right? And
Yeah.
when you heal, that floor isn't as far down as it was that first time. So it's like, okay, even if I'm triggered by something and I have an emotional reaction, it's not, at least in my life, and when I was talking to the speaker, they said that was the same for theirs. That floor is not as far down as it was before. And so it's like, okay, I'm doing better with my emotions. Now, I might
Yes.
still cry, scream, kick, curt, whatever, but it's not as bad as it was the first time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because each time when you go through your healing process and your healing journey and you mature, because
Mm-hmm.
maturity, excuse me, has nothing to do with age, right? So when you mature in your emotional state,
Mm-hmm.
think about somebody who might have been 15 and now they're 25, and then at 35, and then at 45, you're able to, as you grow, your maturity level, hopefully it grows because you're going through a healing journey. So sometimes the floor is not as low as it was. So
Mm-hmm.
each time you can see, and then unfortunately, when certain things happen in your life, it can take you back down to level one, but you're going to come up to level two and three and four much quicker. So I don't like when people say, oh, yeah, they're emotional and stable, like something's wrong with them. No, just because the next person has a hold of their emotions or seemingly no emotions at all, it doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
this person is emotionally a wreck all the time. So that's what that means. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Oh, I'm
there was
sorry.
something else that you said. Oh, it was so good. We'll come back to it if I can think of it. So, can you share then a specific instance when cr engaging in creative work significantly impacted your emotional well-being?
I'll circle back to the pandemic because the pandemic, we didn't know what was happening, right? We didn't know what
Mm-hmm.
was going on. We were all, I don't say stuck in the house, we were safe in the house for many of us.
Mm-hmm.
And it just gives you a level of peace. So I can think about even going through a divorce, being creative. And I'm a writer. Many people
Mm-hmm.
don't know I'm a writer before I'm anything else. I do a lot of things and I've accomplished a lot of things, but writing has been with me since I was a little girl. So even
Mm-hmm.
going through divorce, finding creative outlets and spaces, going through transitions in life. I just did a comedy improv class,
Okay.
because I needed to feel like myself, and
Mm-hmm.
after you go through, divorce or go through different things in life, in my case, I need to always get back to the center. I need to always get back to me. And I had wanted to do an improv class, and I just finished that just about a month ago, a couple months ago, and that's some of the things that I have gone through in my personal life where I'm like, okay, I need my creative outlet because when I have my creative outlet, whatever medium that is, because I
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of creative outlets. God has blessed me with a lot of talents innately, right? And
Mm-hmm.
anytime I'm doing what I'm created to do, I'm at my optimal happiness peak. My emotional stability is super duper strong because that's my happy place.
Mm. Yeah, no, and
So,
I feel the same. You know, something that I said in a different episode was there was that clip going around of Erica Badu where she was talking about creators have to create in order for
yep,
us to be well. And I've
yep,
experienced that, and I didn't really know that that's what I was
yep,
experiencing is, especially as a publisher, a lot of times I'm putting other people's work before my own. And I know we just talked about how bored I was with talking about other
mm-hmm,
people's books, but I
mm-hmm,
also think that played a factor because I wasn't creating myself. I didn't
yes,
make space for my own creative gifts. And so it was like, I was bored. I was fed up. I was just like, for 5 months, I was off of social media. I was tired of talking about the same thing. And I just said, God, I need something fresh. And
yeah,
lo and behold, this podcast came to mind. And while I'm still talking about publishing and all those things, this for me is I want to say it's bigger than the book
mm-hmm,
publishing, And so I said, we'll see. But I'm like, I gotta create. I got books myself that I want to write, things that I want to do. And so absolutely. Do you think that for you, is there one creative outlet that is more therapeutic for you than others, or do they all are they all on the same level?
I was like, oh gosh, so she's out because I was following your train of thought. I was like, is she going to ask me that? It's so interesting because I would have to say, um, sitting down, talking to people, right? Um, as a life coach, if I'm interviewing someone, um, if I'm on the stage inspiring where I could be myself totally in a creative space, and somebody might say, well, that's not creative. It is for me when I'm speaking from my heart, when I'm responding to someone that's not prepared or not written, right? And it's
Mm,
just that whole part is like my happy space as well as writing. Like I can sit down and write for hours, or I can create. It's so hard for me to really narrow it down because at different spaces and times, I need them. Whether I pull out the canvas and just paint something abstract, like put on music and wherever the music takes me, that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so many different mediums, but I would have to say walking in my gift of connecting to people. And somebody might
Mm-hmm.
say, again, that's not creative, but it is for me because it takes a sense of creativity where you're not writing everything down that you're getting ready to say, when you're just allowing whatever is in your body, whatever you're feeling to come up and come out. And think about that. If you're doing an interview with somebody or if I'm speaking on the stage, whatever I'm feeling will come up and come out. And that's how I'm going to affect people. So if I'm at a canvas, whatever I'm feeling is going to come
Yeah.
out on the canvas. If I'm writing, whatever I'm feeling, whatever is in my space, that's what I'm going to write about. So people may think they're all different, but they're all intertwined to me. Or if I'm creating jewelry or making a shirt,
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to knit a blanket. You know what I mean? So whatever the creative space is, whatever I'm feeling, it's going to come out. It's not, none of it's rehearsed and none of it is planned. So that takes a level of creativity.
Yeah, I agree. And I would say, and you could tell me what you think about this as well. I feel like creating is just a natural form of release. And so, especially if you're dealing with emotions that are pent up and you need to release them, well, then as a creative person, creating, whether it be, like you said, through speaking or painting or writing,
Mhm.
you're releasing something.
There you go.
And so that's helping you, I guess, balance your emotions.
Yes. It
Hmm.
is. It is. And people don't understand that when you're, like you just said, what Erica Badu said, when you're creative, like you have to create. And
Hmm.
that's how I feel. Like you don't feel like yourself if you're not creative. Like I'm just not the type of person that sits like this cookie cutter. Like
Hmm.
I'm dancing, I can't sing, but that doesn't stop me from singing. I'm dancing, I'm creating, content creating, thinking
Hmm.
of creative ways to promote my brand or to get my message out there. All of that is creative space. I design in book covers, like
Hmm.
whatever it is, like that's a creative outlet. I would not be Kendéll. I would not be myself if I wasn't creating something. And I've been like that since I was little. I have been in creative and performing arts since I was a little girl.
Hmm.
So it's always expression, whether it was dancing. I've been in theater, I've been in plays as a child and as an adult. I've directed plays. Direction is all about, what do you feel up here? What is your
Hmm.
creativity? What do you see these characters doing? So
Hmm.
all of it's a creative space. And I swear I'm not myself if I cannot create. If somebody said you cannot create, like I don't know what I would do
Yeah. Yeah. And so then
because it's an in me.
do you think it's right to say that people have to balance their creativity with like
No,
everyday life? No. Okay.
no, I don't. And in any creative, as you know, would say no.
Yeah.
A person that is not creative in certain spaces, they're not going to be able to understand that.
Mm.
It's not, we cannot, creative people cannot just do one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
just can't. You can't do one thing because creativity is everywhere. I love photography. I've
Mm-hmm.
always loved photography. When I'm walking down the street and I literally see pictures like, wow, that's a photo, and I'm snapping it. Where
Mm-hmm.
somebody else may see, oh, that's just that. My
Yeah.
mind doesn't work like that. My mind works like I see everything creatively. That's just how I was made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I remember now what I wanted to say earlier when we were talking about emotional instability. So recently I had a situation where I was upset about something. I was just so upset about it. And I remember going to a friend and just kind of, I guess I was emotionally unstable, but I was upset about it. And
Uh-huh.
she came in heavy with encouragement. And I had to tell her, girl, shh, like, let me just I'm just venting. I just need to
Let me
release. I
feel
don't want
through
your
it.
encouragement right now. Today, I want to be miserable. I want to have my pity party and I want to be upset. And she just said, okay, Aurelia. And I said, thank you for giving me that space because I think that sometimes, you know, and I'm grateful for her friendship because I know a lot of people would have been like, oh, you're being negative or da 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 da. But that wasn't the case. I said, for those
Yeah,
that know me, I'm gonna bounce back. Come on, man. You like, I'm
yeah,
gonna bounce back. But today I feel upset and I just need to
right.
feel
And you
this
want to
way.
feel that way.
And I just need to cry about it. I don't want to write about it. I want to do none of that. Like that day, I just needed to be upset about it. And I was so grateful that she said, okay. She hushed up and stopped with it. But what do you think about that? Because I feel like sometimes we can be that person who always, especially if we're an encourager or if that's our job, like a life coach, like we want to fix a problem for somebody, but sometimes we need to step back and give people space for their emotions in order for them to release them.
100%. I totally agree. I'm never one to tell someone how to feel. I'm never one to tell someone to stop crying. I'm gonna give you an example. I spoke at a women's event in Rialto, California, maybe about 5, 6 years ago. I can't even remember. Look, what's this? 2025. These years are going so fast. But I remember there was a young lady in the bathroom crying. She was in her early 20s and she was crying. Everybody, this is what she tells me. I don't know what was happening before I got in there, but
Mm,
everybody went into the bathroom and said, "Oh, don't, stop crying. Don't cry. Get yourself together. Wipe your
mm,
face. Don't cry." She said, "I was the only one that walked into the bathroom and told her, get it out. Whatever it is that you're crying
mm,
about right now, release it. Just continue to cry until you feel better." And she said, I was the only one that said that to her. And I didn't know I was the only one that said that to her, but that's
yeah.
what I felt. So I'm never wanted to tell someone to stop crying because clearly they're crying because those tears have to be released.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, and that's what she did. And she released the tears. And I connected with her for years. I came back to Maryland and we connected for many years after that.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to put a pin in that because I was like, you know what? Yeah, and I think it connects. I
Mhm.
This episode we're talking about creativity and emotional stability. And so it absolutely connects because sometimes you cry and sometimes you paint, depending on the highs and lows of life. What do you think?
And sometimes you cry on your canvas and paint.
Oh, there you go. That too. Yeah.
You do it. But yes, I'm a crier. Like I
Mm,
will cry if
mm,
I'm happy. I will cry if I'm sad. I will cry if I'm disappointed. I will cry if I'm touched, moved, or compassion is there. I don't have a problem crying. I've always been this way. I've always allowed my emotions to fly. And
mm.
sometimes I might have cried at work where some would say you shouldn't cry at work.
Yeah.
Um, but I have done that over the years. To be honest with you, to really be frank with you,
Mhm.
I have. And some might say, "Oh, well, maybe that's not emotional intelligence," but I'm not one to. I can get myself together and I can get my emotions together, and then sometimes I don't want to.
Mhm.
I want to feel what I'm feeling because to me that keeps me alive and that makes me human,
Yeah.
right? But you still have to learn to control over the years. I'm 53 years old. But over the years I have learned how to rein in my emotions and my feelings and use intelligence when it comes to my emotions. But it wasn't always a natural thing. I think it's something that you
Mm.
grow into, learning my emotional intelligence, let's just say at 25, 23, is not the same as it is as 53. You
Mhm.
know, and that was something that I had to grow into and learn because I've always been, you know, okay with my emotions. Like my mom would say when I was little, I would cry in a Hallmark commercial. Like I've always been very in touch with my emotions. If I see, you know how they have the Hallmark commercials, the husband is in the military and he comes home and surprises him and they give a call, you know, certain things that'll touch me. I can scroll down social media and something will, you know, touch me. But over the years, I can see how it's changed, and it's just learning how to, you know, get a better grip of your emotions. But I think it takes time. I think you can't tell a 19-year-old the same way that you can tell a 30-year-old. It's not the same, or a 40-year-old. It's all a process, and everybody is on a different path and timetable.
Nice. Do you think that you learn just from experience, or do you think you learn because of the different roles that you have? Like, did you learn how to manage your emotions just because, I'm assuming you went to like life coaching school, or just the things that you've been involved in? Do you think, like, how did you get to that place?
I got to that place by emotional intelligence and by experience, to
Hmm.
be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And to say, girl, looking at myself from the outside, you know, inside out, like, no, you gotta get it together right here. Or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you can't, you know, have your feelings hurt right here, or you have this not personal here, like through experience I've done. And then of course, as I'm coaching other people, because people don't know with life coaching, and I've been doing this over 20 years, when you're coaching someone else, you can hear your words back to you as well.
Yeah.
If you're smart,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's important to be able to do that because we have to replenish ourselves. And sometimes it might be something I'm telling someone else and I catch my own lesson. So just by life experiences, like, okay, you got to use emotional intelligence here. You know, your feelings are soft. Let's try to, you know, figure it out without taking away who I am,
Mm-hmm.
because that still makes me beautiful, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that I am able to express my emotions and feelings, you know what I mean? So that makes me special. So you don't want to take away who you are and who God made you. You know, when I was little, I used to say, God, take away my soft heart, because I used to pray that because I didn't understand what a gift it is, you
Yeah.
know? So I had to over experience and maturity and you know, all of that. It helped me be able to do that. And I'm, you know, I'm not the same emotional. And like I said earlier, you're not the same as you were at 18 that you are at 38.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you
Hopefully. Okay, I was
hopefully.
gonna say hopefully, hopefully,
Hopefully.
yeah. No, because it's so funny. Earlier today, my dad was talking to me about somebody, and I said, "Dang, at what age?" And then I shut it up. I said, "You know what? I'm not gonna even ask him that question because I'm like, dang, at what age do you stop that nonsense?" I was like, "Wow," but
Sometimes it's not.
okay,
Sometimes
okay, that's new to me. Let's talk about it because, but at the same time, I don't want to be judgmental, but it's just real. I'm like, I'm someone on the outside looking inwards towards something that he was explaining, and I'm thinking, well, this person is like 60 something. Why are they still
honey,
going through this same thing that I was going through when I was
it
30? I'm
has
34,
nothing.
and I just couldn't comprehend.
It has nothing, maturity has nothing to do with age.
Yeah.
Nothing. Some people's development is arrested. So wherever they
Mm.
had their trauma, wherever their growth got stunted, whether it was 25 and now they're
Yeah.
60, sometimes their emotional state and that trauma arrested their development right there.
Yeah.
So age has nothing to do with maturity, but with maturity comes wisdom, and sometimes it's not. I remember when I was dating, and then my daughter was dating, and she's like, these older guys still got the same stuff going on as the younger guys. I'm like,
Yeah.
some of the younger ones are more mature than the older ones.
Yep.
So it doesn't. It's about life experiences and how you handle them. But sometimes age has nothing to do with it.
Yeah. 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 That's true. Because I was
Sometimes
like,
they're coupled and move the same, you know.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And another thing is, I think, healing also takes effort, but it also takes knowledge. For me, one of the things I kept thinking, like, man, I just felt like I was stuck in this loop. of a
Mhm.
terrible situation. And I said, what is missing? And I said, well, maybe I just don't know how. Like, where's the exit? I don't know how to
You
get up
said,
out
"Where's
of
the
this
exit?"
situation. Yeah.
You
And
said,
I was
"Where's
like,
the exit?"
okay, I got good. Let me figure out that. Let me seek out that knowledge. But also being self aware is also a gift. And if you don't know,
It's a gift. Say that again.
being self-aware is a gift, because if you don't know, if you don't think that you're doing something wrong, or if you don't, you could go through the same, you can be rolling around in the mud, but you might not be aware that it's the mud, or that there's something different out there, because like you said, this might just be something that you're used to, or you don't have that knowledge, or just something to compare it with, maybe.
100%. 100%. Because it doesn't, the age has nothing to do with it. Nothing,
Hmm. Yeah.
unfortunately.
Wow. Well, that was interesting. Okay. Okay, so I want to talk back. Okay, so we're gonna just kind of ping pong here and there with this, because I'm also curious, right, about creativity and creative burnout. Is that a thing?
For me, no.
Okay.
It's just not, because remember, there are so many mediums.
Yeah.
So I may not feel like
Mm-hmm.
painting on the camp. I don't, do I paint on the canvas every day like I did during the pandemic? No. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Do I
Mm-hmm.
write every day like I used to? No. It pivots whatever the feeling is. Am I creating content mostly every day? Yes. So I'm using that creative space. Am
Mm-hmm.
I writing like maybe different unique captions? It's because it's still using that creative space. Yes. So it'll
Mm-hmm.
go, if you have multi creative outlets, um, you might be burned out with one,
Yeah.
but then you just go to the other one naturally. And it's not a choice or say, well, hey, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. It's just whatever you feel that day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. And that's something that I also think about with myself, is just I'm fluid when it comes to creativity. One day I could be painting, another day I could be writing, the next day. For me, dance is
Yeah.
also creative. My daughter will catch me in here, get my groove on,
It's so
what? Put on
free.
some
It's
R&B,
come
whatever.
on.
I'm grooving. That's my creativity and that's my release for the day. And and I welcome that. To me, that's
And
also being mindful. And that's also, like you said, when you're creating, you just get lost almost in a trance where you
yeah.
need time. But then when you finally come to, you're like, oh, okay, you know what? I've been doing this for hours. Let me get up and
Mm-hmm.
eat, or let me get up and do some
Mm-hmm.
call, check my phone. My phone been on do not disturb, or my phone's been
Mm-hmm.
dead. Oh, that's why, these type of things. And so I think one thing that I also want to mention is also with writer's block is something that had came to mind while you were talking. And maybe that block is just a redirection for you to try to be creative in a different direction with something else for a little bit, and then you could come back to it with a fresh eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because something else can spark that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I love to be silly and dance and like I'm free. Like somebody commented, like two people yesterday with different posts commented, "Oh, you're so youthful and your energy and it's just
Mm-hmm.
so." And then one lady's like, "You're just so cute and yummy." Like I'm 10, right? But then I was talking, but
Yeah.
it's like it's the energy that
Mm-hmm.
you project, and it's whatever's going on, like I was talking about earlier, inside. So
Yeah.
it's a freedom when you're creative and you're not worrying about if I look silly or not, or
Mm-hmm.
what is somebody gonna think. I will turn on the camera, you've seen it, I'll be
Yeah.
dancing, I'll do a skit, like
Mm-hmm.
I'll do whatever the creative spirit leads me to, because that's just a part of who I am. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a stick in the mud type person. Like I'm just not. Like I'm going to be doing something,
Yeah.
and that's just who I am.
Yeah.
Like I can't even explain it. Like that's who I am. That's who
Mm-hmm.
I've always been.
Yeah. And that's important to know that. Even I was just telling somebody else, I said, I'm just finally coming to understand that this is just who I am.
This is who I am. And
Even
both of us are the same sign.
I
I'm just
know
saying,
Gemini
but
queen.
we're
Yeah.
creative. If
Mm-hmm.
you look up the traits, like people always think, oh, you're two sides. Yeah. Some days I can be totally outgoing, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I can be an introvert one day and an extrovert
Yeah.
the next day. It depends on how, I'm feeling, whether I just want to just chill.
Yeah.
And people might be like, oh, well, you talk for a living, you talk. Sometimes I might not want to. Sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
might want to be quiet and be in the corner, and you don't even know that I'm there.
Yeah.
So it's that type of thing. But if you look at our sign, like creativity is like high on the list,
Yeah.
like that
Mm-hmm.
we have our hands in multiple things
Yep. Creativity and communication. That's
and
the
communicate the two C's, and we
yep.
do well at them both.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I just feel like also I'm like, back to just learning that okay, this is who I am. Even sometimes the negative parts are what people might say to my face. Sometimes I'd be like, wow, okay. That
Right.
that's negative. And I'm
We
like,
get a bad rap.
yeah, I really have to think about it. Like, you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay sometimes with my direct communication,
Hmm.
especially if I just feel like, man, if I try to say this any other way, this person gonna be confused. So I just
Right.
gotta be direct.
Come on.
And then it can come off as being mean or
Right. So
masculine
that's
energy. I'm like,
so over the years with that, I've always been direct and straight up. But
hmm,
over the years, I have learned to put honey on my words.
yeah.
Like, because I still have to be authentically true to
Mm-hmm.
you and to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I still have to give the truth. But sometimes I have, over the years, like I said, over maturity, over the years, I have learned to put honey on it or to think, like, how should I say this? Because I don't want to offend someone. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But you still don't want to be lying to people.
Mm-hmm.
You still want to be authentic to them and authentic to yourself. And I would rather have somebody be direct to me. Like if you were direct with me, I can handle that.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather, because I know exactly where you're coming from. But
Yeah.
when people are indirect and skip around the mulberry bush, I can't, that's too much. Just
Yeah.
say what you gotta say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you bring up a good point, and that's something that I'm learning to decipher is what's my relationship with this person that I'm getting ready to talk to, and can they handle my directness? And if they can't, we gonna figure it out. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, again, it goes back to what's my relationship with them. Those that know me know I'm full of love. I don't mean any harm. I just gotta get
Exactly.
it out and just say what I gotta
Exactly.
say. And I had someone say, well, sometimes it
Mm-hmm.
could just be how people perceive things from their own experience, and you
And
might
trauma
be trauma.
and experiences. Because
Wow.
people receive, they don't receive everything that you're telling them. They receive
Mm.
and hear you from an ear that experienced trauma.
Wow.
So you can be talking directly. I can say, I really like your hair like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's straight now. But if you had a problem with your natural kink and curl,
Mm-hmm.
and your hair was natural, and that was trauma, you might be like, well, because it's straight, you like it like that. Well,
Mm.
what about when my hair is natural and it's shrinkage? You don't like it like that. You might
Yeah.
have a whole story in your head, and I'm simply just saying I just like your hair like that. It doesn't mean
Wow.
I'm discrediting the other hairstyle. It just
Mm-hmm.
means I'm looking at you and you look nice. But if you
Mm-hmm.
have trauma surrounding your hair, and that's your own personal lens, and you're hearing through the ears of trauma, then you're going to automatically think I'm saying I like one more than the other, or I don't like the other.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And that brings up your book. Excuse me, your unhealed is showing. Whoa, I brought that up the other day. I was like, yeah, the way people respond. And I've been more aware of people's response, especially in the workplace. I'm back working, which I'm so grateful for my job. But a lot of people's responses, I'd be like, oh, I don't think that was about me the way that you just responded to what I
That's why
said.
I titled the book that. Excuse me, your unhealed is
Yeah.
showing. People's unhealed is hanging out. They butt naked with the unhealed, and it's like you see it. I'm like, excuse me, your unhealed is showing. Like that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah. Yeah. And in that instance, I'm like, let me just give them grace. And you can even put honey on your words and they can still get
Yeah.
offended. And at that point, I'm like, okay, this is deeper than me. Let me give you a little bit of grace. Because I remember when I would be in that place, somebody could say something about being a single mom. And because I have trauma about
Yeah.
relationships, I don't want to be a
Yeah.
single mom.
Yeah.
That was my trauma. I didn't want to be a
Yeah.
single mom. And so when people would, oh, you're a strong single mom, I would just be like, what? Back then, I wasn't trying to hear that. What?
But that's real. That's
Yeah.
real. That's why I'm saying people hear
Mm-hmm.
based off of their trauma and their experiences. So
Yeah.
some people will make up stories and you ain't even said that.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And that's why it's so important for us to be able to be self-aware, like you talked about, and
Mm-hmm.
really be accountable for who we are. Not saying that who we are alone got us to these places, right? So people have family of origins, people have relationships, people have experiences. So all of that is a culmination of how we are today. So a lot of things
Yeah.
we have to unlearn, a lot of things we have to unpack, a lot of things we have to heal from. Every last person who is going to listen to this and watch this, everybody's in the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
You might not have to heal from that, but you have to heal from this.
Yeah.
That might not happen, but this happened, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we're more alike than different. And if you're really conscious and intentional about your healing journey and everybody's healing journey, nobody can say, oh, it's time for your healing journey. Like you have
Mm-hmm.
to just be sick and tired of being sick and tired, bumping your head up against the wall, losing friends, losing jobs, losing
Mm-hmm.
yourself, losing relationships, letting go relationships, self-sabotage, trying to heal from broken hearts and wounds and family trauma and, gaslighting and, abuse. And we can
Yeah.
go on and on and on with all of the things, childhood trauma, parental problems, and, mommy, daddy issues. We can go on and on and on from what most people suffer from abandonment, rejection. And then
Mm-hmm.
we're bringing all of that stuff into everybody we encounter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really time. We're all unhealed in some way, but are
Mm-hmm.
you working on it? Are you recognize it? Are you self-aware? And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't self-aware. Like
Yeah.
I know people that just point the finger to everybody,
Mm-hmm.
everybody. Oh,
Mm.
I don't get along with other women, or I can't get along with, or, I have a boyfriend every week, or I have a girlfriend every 2 weeks. It's them. Something's wrong with them. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, baby girl, baby boy, look what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you a woman and can't get along with women? All of the women are not jealous of you, like you keep saying.
Yeah.
If you're a man and you don't have male friends because you can't trust these guys out here, and your daddy or somebody said just be by yourself, and no, something is wrong.
Mm.
If you're out there dating and your woman has no friends and your man has no friends, that's a red flag.
Mm.
That's something that needs to be healed.
Yeah.
Something is going on. So we really have to pay attention to each other, and really be transparent and really be honest with people, especially the people that we love. You can't keep lying to the people that you love. No, stop. You can have friends. Why don't you have any friends?
Yeah.
Ask questions like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you always jump when someone says something? Why are you so defensive? Or what's going on? And we
Mm-hmm.
have to really bring people to the carpet if we're talking about community and really help each other.
Ooh-wee. I know. Yeah. Speechless because what's going on and asking those questions and praying to God that you can come across somebody that can ask you those questions like, hey, now wait a minute,
Mm-hmm.
you keep I done seen you date 3 different men in the last 2 months, what's going on? And
They're
but
going
the
to get
thing is,
offended first before they can recognize
they
it. They're
will
going to
get
be
offended
offended,
first. Yeah.
defensive. They're
Yeah.
ready to hang up, cuss you out.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, slow down. Slow down.
Yeah.
You was in love. One time one of my friends called about another friend, like, wait, she got another guy up there. She just was with the other guy and they broke up a week ago and somebody else is up
Mm,
there. What's going on? And somebody else is like, is that the same person? Like, instead of saying those questions behind that, call the person. Hey, you good?
yeah,
Like, what's going on? Like, why do you feel like you always got to have somebody? It's okay to be by yourself. We should
yeah.
hang out. Let's go out. Or, you don't need somebody constantly.
Mm-hmm.
I know a woman that somebody's on rotation every time you turn around. I don't think she's ever been by herself, ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And it's like, how can you heal and get to know yourself if you're never with yourself?
yeah. It's hard though. Sometimes I think about my healing journey and it has not been easy. And I
Mm-mm,
get
it
it.
ain't
Sometimes
easy.
I'll be like, you know what? I get it. Shoot.
It's
I
not
mean,
for the weak.
it might have been easier for me to just stay in that loop instead of looking for an exit, but I was tired, girl. I could not
Hmm.
stay in that loop. But and so I think about that. Several people were coming to mind when you were saying that. And I just think man, they are hurting. To me, that's a key
Hmm.
sign. And I
Hmm.
had friends that I'm no longer friends with now tell me up front, which now I'm more careful and I listen to people when they're talking to me. They would say, I'm not a good friend. And I'd be like,
That
oh,
you wouldn't be.
no, they would tell me that they're not a good friend. I'd be like, oh, how
Oh.
come you don't have any friends? Oh, well, I'm not a good friend. My friends stick around for a couple months and then, they leave or whatever. And I'd be like, oh, what? That's crazy. You're a good friend to me. We're hanging out, da 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 da. And then lo and behold, something would happen. I'm like, okay, you know what? I see what you're saying. You're not a good friend, but why not work on that? Like to me, I'm like, if you know that that's the issue, why not work on it? Oh, because it takes effort and you're not willing to put in that effort. You're not willing to be responsible actually to another person outside of your kids and your husband.
Mm.
And so that's why you don't have any girlfriends. Oh, okay. That makes sense. And I mean, I just was like, oh no, this person is actually telling me up front. But me, I'm like, I would be trying to fix it. I would be trying to be the encourager. No, you're a good friend. Maybe I would just think, oh,
Yeah.
this person struggles with self-worth.
Yeah.
But they were also telling me up front, actually, I'm not a good friend. That's why I don't have friends. And it would be like, oh, okay, now
And
I,
that's so self-aware, but then what are you going to do with the self-awareness?
right.
Like, are you just going to keep self-sabotaging and sabotaging friendships before they even bud or even
Mm,
blossom? Or are you going to say, I haven't, change your verbiage, I haven't been a good friend in the past, but I'm willing to do the work to be a good friend to you?
yeah.
Like that's the conversation that needs to be had with them. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
stop saying you're not a good friend and let's think about how we can be a good friend. What are the qualifications of a good friend? What are the attributes
Yeah.
of a good friend? When you see a good friend, what does that look like to you?
Mm-hmm.
And really that's like if she was my client, that's what I would do. Let's just scratch you're not a good friend. What is a
Yeah.
good friend to you and how can we put you on the road to friendship? Because sisterhood and community is everything.
Yeah.
And that's how I would, phrase it to her. Like you can't just you can be self-aware all day long, but if you're not going to put your body into motion and to
Mm-hmm.
do something about it, then what is the point of being self-aware?
Yeah. No, that's good. And I think part of it also requires being vulnerable. And a lot of people don't want to show that part of themselves. And I almost see the same thing in like writing and people that are so worried about, well, what if people don't like my book? Or what if, and it's all of these negative things. And I'll be thinking, well, which I didn't think about this until now, until we just started talking about it, is people are really afraid of being vulnerable. People are really afraid of being judged. And I think for me, I'm getting to a place where I don't really care. I mean, I care a little bit because I'm a professional and I gotta care about my reputation and the way that people perceive me. But on the other side of that, I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
man, you're gonna like me or you're not gonna like me, and it's just
Yeah.
gonna have to be what it is. I'm going to be vulnerable, and either you're gonna love me or hate me, and but at least I was myself.
But that's mature at 34 years old That's very mature of you. And what that says to me is you're very strong in who you are, and you have a
Mhm.
strong hold of who you are. You're unshakable and unwaverable about flowing with somebody for them to
Mhm.
like you. That means you're very comfortable in your skin. That means that you've been through some things you don't have time to be. That's very mature, really, at 34.
Mm.
Unfortunately, some people don't even get there till then because they
Wow.
want everybody to like them. They're
Yeah.
moving with the waves of the ocean. So I think that's phenomenal at 34. I'm trying to think at 34 if I was completely like that. Probably not.
Mm.
Probably
Mhm.
not. I'm trying to think where I was at 34. That when you
What
start
was
getting old at
going
34, it's
on?
a long time ago. But I'm trying to think. I
Yeah.
don't think I think that surfacely I probably felt that way.
Mhm.
But internally, I might have still had a tinge on I do care about what they think. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I think and that makes me feel amazing that at 34 that you feel that way. I love it.
Mhm. Mm.
I love it.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
love it.
mean,
Because I couldn't have said it with my whole chest. I could have said it with part of my chest. But I would have probably had a little piece like, well, I still went to the
you really
lady
mean
and
that?
she just
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
But now, hey, okay, like
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do? Change for you? No, I can't.
No. Yeah.
I can't. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, it was, I want to say I heard this it was like a little YouTube short, and this one lady, she was talking about friendships. For me, relationships really impact me. I want to be, I'm a relational kind of person, but I like
Yeah,
deep connections.
me
Don't give
too.
me, and I think that's why I don't mind being direct with the people that I love and I care about, because I enjoy those deeper connections. But she was saying
Mm-hmm.
something about there's always more. Don't
Mm-hmm.
worry about losing friends, because just as you made that friend, you can make another friend.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and that really touched me. And I thought, oh, there is always more. And
Always
even in
more.
business, there's always more clients. There's always more opportunities. Right
Yep.
now I don't have a car. I have transportation. I can get around, but I don't have a car. But I'm like, you know what? There's always more opportunities for me to get a car. There's always more. And I just started applying that to everything in my
That's
life. And
good.
I said, I
That's
can
good.
show up authentically as myself without fear. People are going to judge, people are going to talk. They can unfollow me, they could leave my life, whatever. But you know what? There's always going to be more. And
I
that
love that.
comforts me. Yeah.
There's always going to be more. That's a mantra for life.
Yeah.
You said there's always going to be more because we're lacking. God said we lack no good thing
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and talks about abundance. So that's it. That's all in line. There's always more. We're
Mm-hmm.
lacking nothing. Even if it
Yeah.
looks like we aren't. That's good.
Yeah, yeah. And if something leaves, it just makes room for something else to come on through, because we have it. I mean, in a way, right? And so I think about that, like there's always more, but sometimes I don't. I mean, I could have my hand in 10 pots, but sometimes getting into that level and that might be a little bit too much. So it's like knowing my limits, um, and just kind of working with that, and so
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
that's where I'm at.
I
Okay.
love it.
Well, hey, this was a great conversation. We could
This
talk for
was.
hours. I am sure of it. But let's
You
wrap it up.
already
Is there
know.
anything else that you would like to say about just creativity and being emotionally stable and healing?
I think first, of course, we could talk for hours and hours. When Money Long said we could do this for hours and hours.
Okay.
But yes, that's because we both are communicators, as we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
We both are creatives. So I think creativity will take up real estate in your life if you're a creative person, and it will
Mm-hmm.
allow your emotions to come out in your creative space, your creative area, whatever that is. So creativity, some people think creativity is a certain thing, like I'm not creative, I can't build something, but there's
Mm-hmm.
so much to creativity, and I think we all have a little creative space. Whether somebody can put a meal together and cook very well, whether somebody can build. I think about my brother, never went to school for it. He can build anything. One of my friends could sit up here and build a fireplace without even training. So people have all of these skills in their creative spaces. So I think it's important for your mental stability and your mental health to have a creative outlet, some type of creative outlet. And sometimes people don't understand or don't know what their creative outlet is. So I advise people to try different things. I like to skate. Somebody might not say it's creative outlet, but it's an outlet.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're worrying about your emotional stability or your emotional state, or you're feeling sluggish, or you're feeling down, or you can't stop crying, or, you may not be clinically depressed, but you might feel that way. You might suffer from anxiety. You might not be able to get your thoughts together. I suggest anybody use a creative outlet to really work on their emotional healing. And also just healing, seeing a life coach, a counselor, a therapist, all three, whatever you have to do, working on yourself. Journaling is always a great thing to do. I have journals through Aurelia's publishing company. It's always great to journal. Just get your thoughts down. You don't have to be a professional writer. You don't have to get them right and spell them right, whatever it is. Just get your thoughts out. Whether you want to turn the camera on and do a video diary for yourself, whatever is in needs to come out. That's the whole message. So however you get whatever's in here that's wounded, that's hurting you, that emotional instability, whatever that is, it needs to come out, because it needs to come out in a constructive way. Let me be clear, because it's going to come out.
Yeah.
So it might be coming out cussing somebody out, losing friends, families, jobs, because you don't know how to hone it, because you've been holding it in. So that's the thing with a creative outlet. Whatever's in here is going to come out. It has to come out. And you want it to come out in a constructive, healthy, creative way, more than coming out ruining your life in some type of capacity because you can't get it together. And maturity, again, has nothing to do with age. It has something to do with willingness to grow, willingness to hear and have the hard conversations, willingness to look at yourself for what's happening and who you are and say, okay, how can I be better? And like what Aurelia said, listening to friends that are truthful and honest with you, even if you're defensive, but knowing it's coming out of love. So emotional stability and creativity and having that outlet are linked to me. So I just want everyone to just begin their healing journey and start remixing your life. And that's promoting healthy lives in any way. It's never too late to remix your life at any stage, age, or phase. And I truly believe that, because I'm the poster child of that. So it's not just a slogan, my signature mantra that I created. It's because sometimes remixing your life is a matter of life and death, because you can't keep doing the same thing the same way. So I want everybody to heal and grow and be in an emotional, stable space.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can end it right there. Thank you so much, y'all. Thank you for listening.
That's it for today's check in. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, hit that subscribe or follow button, and let's keep growing together. Hey, and if you're tuning in on YouTube, drop your after emoji in the comments and tell me what shifted for you. I'll see you next time on Miss Winn Checkin In, where creativity is a pathway to wellness.